Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Right back here behind me is Mr. Lanny Swerdlow. Hi, Lanny.
Hi, Paul.
Lanny is our guest this evening. He's also a person who helped found this series back in, I think it was about 1996 or 97. And then a little farther over is Mr. Casper Leach. And over in the wings, we have John Cornett and Jan Sue Hurst. Welcome, folks.
Hi, Paul.
We'll be back. We have some film clips, some music by these folks, and we'll be taking your calls and questions a little bit later in the show. But first, we will bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves. They're coming any second now.
They're worth waiting for.
No.
No?
No leaves?
No.
That's a whole new tradition now,
I came all
folks.
the way up from Palm Springs to see the leaves.
You want me to dance it?
Okay.
You want me to dance?
I feel the force.
All right. So here is Jan Sue Hurst along with John Cornett with a groovy tune for you.
We like cannabis around here.
Yeah.
We like train wreck, northern lights. We like Shrek too, sour diesel. Life is good. Life is good. Life is good for you and me. So good. So good. So good. So good. We like God, but purple haze. We like cheese too. Cinderella. Life is good. Life is good. Life is good for you and me. So good. So good. So good. So good. It don't matter which you like, don't matter when you do it, just matters that you do it right and get down to it. So good, so good, so good. children.
Right.
Thank you.
Cornett, Jan Sue Hurst.
And that was so good.
That was so good. You know, they showed a lot of buds. The buds are starting. The flowers are starting to form here.
Yay! My
It's,
favorite time of year.
Harvest is coming.
Oh my golly, it's like the best time you'd ever want to be around the plants.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All of those pictures in that song were from the THF Medical Garden, where we give away free cannabis to dozens and maybe over 100 patients at times, including this fellow.
What?
So, yeah, not you, him.
Oh,
Well,
him.
I've been known to give you some.
Yeah.
So,
But-
how are you doing,
You
Lanny?
know, that, once again, you know, you give away to hundreds of patients.
Yeah.
But, you know, Oregon's got, what, 3 million people in it?
Yes.
That doesn't
That's
work.
Just a drop in the
That
bucket.
doesn't work. We've got
Well,
to
it
have a
works for
system
those
here in
people.
which
Well,
you know,
we're
a
gonna
million
vote.
people can get marijuana,
We're gonna vote.
and a few people growing for a couple hundred patients isn't going to cut it.
That's
Well,
right.
that sounds radical.
Well, that's where we have a vote. You know, we
It's
had
coming
a few.
up.
Yes, it is. It's Measure 91. Of course, we urge you to vote yes on Measure 91. If you have any questions or want to discuss that, or have questions about helping medical marijuana patients or restoring industrial hemp, you can call us. That number on your screen, it's 503-288-4442.
And did you hear that the brilliant mind of Kevin Sabet's going to be coming into Oregon to share his wisdom with the voters
On taxpayer dollars.
on taxpayer dollars?
Of course, on taxpayer dollars. Well, no, is he still working for ONDCP? I thought he's his own.
No, he's not working for
he's
ONDC. He's got his own smart.
Sam.
Yeah,
but
Sam.
that's not taxpayer funded, is it?
Well, they're getting taxpayer funds
Oh,
to
they're
tour the state.
Oh, they are again, and to speak out against
To
the
speak out
initiative.
against the
Yeah.
That's
initiative.
illegal.
Well, it should be, but in
No,
fact,
I thought that was illegal.
well, you know, the Hatch Act, the federal law that prohibits non-elected public officials from engaging in political discourse, or it doesn't apply to ballot initiatives and referendum.
It doesn't.
No, it's a very odd exemption, but in fact, it doesn't apply in those cases. But Lanny, you're up, even though you helped start this show back in the 90s, you're up from California.
That's right.
And you've been down in California
Empire.
since 99. Yeah, Inland Empire from
Yeah.
Palm Springs
That's
to
Palm Springs, San Bernardino County, Riverside County.
What do you do down in Palm Springs besides enjoy the sun and watch the Hollywood starlets
Well,
go down the highway?
I was working for the THCF Medical Clinic as a nurse.
But you still
but I'm
pop
not working
in there
there anymore.
sometimes.
I'm in there every week. We have our meetings there. We're very appreciative of the fact that they allow us to have our group meetings there. The Brownie Mary Democratic Club meets there. The Marijuana and Prohibition Project meets there. There's some AIDS patient groups that meet there on a weekly basis. So it's a wonderful facility. But what I'm doing is mainly I'm kind of a full-time marijuana activist right at the moment, and
So you got your own radio show?
I do my own radio show, blogtalkradio.com/marijuana.
You were on the
news.
air on a radio station down there in San Bernardino.
But
but
no,
you
we switched to the
switched to
internet.
And you're also founded the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network.
That's right.
That people can hear you there.
That's right.
Now, Grandma Mary, before you get to that, a lot of people don't realize what a wonderful spirit Grandma Mary was. I mean,
Brownie Mary.
Brownie Mary. Who's Grandma Mary? Okay,
Well,
yeah, Brownie
She
Mary.
might have been a
Mary.
grandma.
I don't
She
know.
was a grandma, but Brownie Mary.
Yeah. Oh, she was. Did you meet her?
I met her on the phone.
Well, okay.
Once.
It's better than I never met her.
And I can't quote half the stuff she said because she was so upset. She swore all the time when she got talking about the war on drugs. But why don't you let people know about Brownie Mary?
Or the Brownie Mary Democratic
yeah, well,
Club.
I'll
That's
talk
what
about
you're-
the Brownie Mary Democratic Club if you want. You know, I'd like to go about something that I just read about as a lead into talking about the Brownie Mary
right ahead.
Democratic Club.
You've
And
got the floor.
there is a study that just came out. From Rutgers and Yale's University and the University of Buffalo. I mean, these are all, you know, the prestigious college, and they published in the journal Behavioral Research or something like that, one of these peer-reviewed evidentiary-based journals. And what they had found out, they started this study, is they wanted to find out, the premise of the study was people who use marijuana are more likely to engage in what's called interpersonal violence than people who don't. Because, like alcohol, you know, you drink alcohol, and you're more likely, they were kind of thinking that that would be the same. Well, they did the study, and what they found out, no surprise to anybody watching the show who uses marijuana, but what they found out was that the people who use marijuana have a lower incidence of interpersonal violence than people who don't use any at all. And the fact, And the ones who had the lowest, the absolute lowest score of interpersonal violence were the people where both couples used marijuana, and the word they used was frequently. Frequently.
Yes.
So if you want to have a good relationship, smoke a lot of pot.
Well, you know,
Well,
And you're going to have a wonderful relationship.
I've often
know.
said the only way to have a spouse in the house is to make sure that I've got herb in the house as well.
well, you
And-
know,
and-
I think the thing that people, you know, we've been dumbed down to believe that marijuana is bad for you and that we have to limit its use and we have to be afraid of marijuana smokers and it should be illegal, when in fact, marijuana is actually good for you. It helps you live longer. It makes you a happy person. It makes you age more slowly. It slows aging and enhances longevity. It helps your body achieve homeostasis, a balance of all your various bodily systems. As an RN, don't you agree with that?
And most of all, it makes it a lot less likely that the old man's going to beat up the old lady. You know? That's what it's all about. And we got to get people to know about that. And this is,
Well, I think we got to quit buying
educate
into that marijuana is bad. We've got to say no. It's actually good for
And how
you.
can we? And here's the tie-in. You were talking about how the government is funding people to come into the state of Oregon and oppose a ballot initiative. A ballot initiative. And we've got to change the government. We've got to change the government. So if this is okay for the government to send somebody in and campaign on a ballot initiative, then we've got to have the government sending in people who would campaign for such an initiative. And the only way that's going to happen is when we take some, start exercising some political clout and take
And to
that
do
political
that,
count. And
one
to do
thing
that,
you can
that's what
do-
the Brownie Mary Democratic Club is all about.
You're trying to work within the Democratic Party in the state of California.
Right. So, to answer your question about to tell people who Brownie Mary was, it's because it's how we got the name Brownie Mary Democratic Club. And I thought when I started to form the club, I kind of modeled this club after I was going to call it the Cannabis Democratic Club. And several people in the Riverside County Democratic Central Committee we were organizing got upset and says, "Oh no, you can't name it after a Schedule I drug." and so I thought, well, if I can't do that, what can I name it after? And I looked at some other clubs, especially the ones the gay community have, and they have clubs they didn't have a gay Democratic club. They had a Harvey Milk Democratic Club, a Stonewall Democrat. They named it after a band. They named it after a person. So I thought, okay, I'll name it after a famous marijuana person. And the first person that came to my mind was Bob Marley. Bob Marley. I said, Bob Marley Democratic Club.
But he's not American.
Well, yeah, and also he's got the dreadlocks on. He is too, that wasn't it. So then I thought I would name it after Dennis Perone, the Dennis Perone Democratic Club. After all, he's the father of medical marijuana in California and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, I know Dennis. I know Dennis really well. I know the minute we did something he didn't like, he'd be on the phone, "Lanny, take my name off that thing." So I started to look around for another thing, and I came across Brownie Mary. Brownie Mary's real name was Mary Jane Rathburn, and in her 70s, she started baking marijuana-infused brownies and taking them to the AIDS patients in San Francisco's hospitals. She got arrested 3 times for doing that by the police. They never prosecuted her. Eventually, San Francisco named a day in her honor, Brownie Mary Day, and I thought what a perfect thing. It's so perfect for marijuana. I mean, marijuana, the name Brownie Mary itself, the whole thing is kind of contains both the fun side of marijuana. Hey, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and also what she did shows the important side of marijuana, its health and its medicine. So it was a perfect name named
She was
and also,
parodied on the comic strip in the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
Doonesbury.
And also, this is a male-dominated movement, and we have to showcase the contributions made by women because, like Mars needs more, we need more women in this movement. And that's why we named the Brownie. I'm so proud to be able to name it after women who contributed so much. Anyway, the Brownie Mary Democratic Club works within the Democratic Party to bring about this kind of change, to influence our politicians, where when the government sends somebody to a state to oppose a marijuana initiative, they will have the guts to stand up and say something in Congress about it, that this is wrong. And I hope Senator Jeff Merkley, who's a champion on this issue, as far as I can tell, would stand up and say this is wrong. For
Earl Blumenauer has really been
And
a
Earl
real
Blumenauer, too.
champion on a larger basis.
Yes.
Another good thing too is that
Berkeley
she
and-
demonstrated that she don't quit. She was tenacious and she continued on until People got their medication, and things change, and that's the kind of people you want this organization to support.
You know what? We do take viewers' phone calls here. We've had a caller standing by for a few minutes here. Let's see if they're still standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi, Paul.
Howdy.
I wanted to say thank you for all you've done for the medical marijuana program here in Oregon.
You're very welcome.
And everybody who's helped you, and really looking forward to November. And I had a question about the November Measure 91 initiative. If that passes, when would people be able to grow like a few plants of theirs outdoors in their own property?
Yes. They'd be able to grow 4 plants and have 8 ounces, I believe it is.
When's the soonest they could do that if Measure 91 passes?
I think right away. It goes into effect in just a few days after it passes.
Okay. Well, that's excellent.
Yeah, that's a lot better than it is now, and that's better than they have up in Washington. In Washington's legalization or decriminalization model, it's legal to have under an ounce, and they can license growers who have to sell it to processors. They tax the processors, license them, and tax the growers and license them, and they tax and license the retailer. That's better than nothing at all, but the Oregon initiative is much, much better than that. It has one single tax of $35 an ounce on flowers and $10 an ounce on trim and shake. And so, and it allows edibles and concentrates to be made and taxed at the rate of the cannabis that's going into it. So there's one low license fee. It's just $1,250 per year for a business. And unlike the medical marijuana law, where you have to have a license, a $4,000 license for each location, the license fee under Measure 91 is just one license per business. And the business can grow, process, and retail cannabis with that one license fee. So it's vastly superior to the law in Washington and quite a bit better than the one in Colorado as well. So we're looking forward to it.
Although Colorado lets you grow 6 plants.
Well, that's the one thing that it's better. That's what I was saying. And in Colorado, you can have all the produce at the house of 6 plants, but in Colorado, you can only leave with 1 ounce away from the house. Yeah. But that's better to be able to have everything that's produced by your 6 plants.
Washington's legalization bill is instructive in how not to write an initiative, and I hope when they bring it to California that they learn from that and they write an initiative that is really going to provide people with marijuana.
You know, there's another big detriment to the drug war that we need to look at, and that is the militarization of the police. We have a little video that graphically demonstrates that. We've run it in the past. It's a little depressing, but it shows what happens with no-knock raids, featuring a song by this artist from Toronto, Canada, named Lindy. So here is his production through Reason Magazine, libertarian production, called No-Knock Raid.
I am glad that in this administration we have increased the amount of money for handling the problem of dangerous drugs 7-fold. It will be $600 million this year. More money will be needed in the future. I want to say, however, that despite our budget problems, to the extent money can help in meeting the problem of dangerous drugs, it will be available. This is one area where we cannot have budget cuts, because we must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number 1 in the United States, the problem of dangerous drugs.
It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. We'll shoot your dogs in front of your kids, 'cause we are the SWAT. We're here for your pot and all the cash that you've got. We are adrenaline junkies taking orders from the top. KGB and the DEA. They'll make you disappear like in Guantanamo Bay. In the middle of the night, you'll have nothing to say. If we get the wrong address, it doesn't matter anyway. We'll still get our kicks, we'll still have our fun. Yeah, we are the SWAT, we are adrenaline junkies till the drugs are all gone. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. You do the time for your victimless crime. And it's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. This is a war, and this is your fate. We are the face of your new police state. We are the law, and we've got the guns. Statutory power, mandatory minimums. We are the SWAT, we're here for your part and all the cash that you got. We are adrenaline junkies taking orders from the czar. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. You do the time for your victimless crime. And it's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid. Paramilitary police state on parade. Flash bang on the ground, don't hear a sound. Could be you, could be the mayor of your town. And it's a no-knock raid. It's a no-knock raid, don't be afraid.
Okay, cool. So that's a very chilling video, but you know, we've got these programs that deliver all these military weapons and hardware to our local police, and incentives for them to make these drug raids if they can seize the property and use it by their law enforcement outfit. So unfortunately, we've seen this militarization of the police, and we've got to end that, don't you folks think?
You know, one of the, there's this Ferguson thing.
Yes.
Where this young unarmed black man was killed by a cop. Now, you know, you're reading about it, and now they're out there trying, groups defending the police officer and this kind of stuff. And I don't know the situation, you know, what's going to come out of that. But the one thing that no one is talking about is why is the African American community so distrustful of police? Why are they so you know,
if they get killed and arrested.
Well, and why is that happening? It's because of the drug war. The drug war is predominantly affecting the communities of color. And you know, and why, you know, the use of the drugs is no more in the African American community than the Caucasian community, but the police target the African American community. Why? Is it pure racism? Maybe it's that. Is it because they're of lower social economic status? Could be because of that. Is it because they can't defend themselves in court? I don't know. But the
because
cops
they're
agree.
victims of
If there was
hundreds of years of discrimination.
if there was
and slavery.
if there was no drug war,
Yeah.
The police would not be going into the community and raiding people's homes and arresting them for nonviolent crimes. They would go in there if somebody's house got robbed. They'd go in there if somebody's car got carjacked. The people of the community would be welcoming the police to come in there and see to it that their homes aren't robbed. But they're not welcoming them to come in there and take their kids out for these drug offenses. And this whole problem, this drug war, caused Ferguson. Ferguson would not have happened if we didn't have this drug war, because this alienation between police and the African American community would never have happened. It's the drug war that caused it. And no one, I have not seen one single newscast even talk about how the drug war is responsible for what's happening in Ferguson, because it wouldn't have happened without it.
We've got to make that obvious. We've got to say that, and it's just so eloquently done. But we've got, as a community, to make it one of the memes that the news media will pick up on.
That's the problem, Paul. Nobody listens to me. I mean, I probably wouldn't listen to myself except I have to.
There's a few of them out there listening right now. But
are you listening?
We'll see. I'm trying.
If you were listening,
so what else?
Would you please?
Okay, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to say, what else have you got here? You've got your Brownie Mary Club.
I'm a writer too, and I write for a magazine called Culture, and you can find it on. It's one of these slick medical marijuana magazines that's supported totally by.
It's just recently come out with an Oregon edition now.
Yeah, they've got editions in Colorado and stuff. They're big
Michigan. I've seen it in Michigan.
I write for them a column called Healthy Living, and you can read it in every issue. Go by ireadculture.com/ my last name Swerdlow, and it'll bring up all the ones that I have I've written. And the one I just written recently before was brain changes. Brain changes, and how the media went haywire on these brain changes. Oh my gosh, people who use marijuana have brain changes. Never talking about the fact whether the brain changes even had any kind of effect or not.
Right.
And the fact is they didn't.
People who eat yogurt have brain changes too.
Prayer, I pointed out in comparison, also causes brain changes. There are studies out there.
And they're similar.
But somehow, if prayer causes brain changes,
that's
good. That's good. But if marijuana causes brain changes, that's bad.
Well,
that's
again,
bad.
There's that paradigm
and
that marijuana's bad.
Yeah, that's
and it's
it.
just wrong.
It's
Marijuana's good.
Yeah, so
we've got to get that out there.
It's nuts, because people who advocate prayer to change your brain, they get tax breaks, and we get prison.
Well,
unbelievable.
And comedy changes your brain. Good
Every-
laughter, it can even help heal you. They've done studies where people who have had horrible diseases, if they've been able to find their way to regain laughter in their life, they heal more quickly and they get stronger, and it's just better all the way around.
Well, alcohol causes brain changes. And
but they're negative brain changes.
As Groucho Marx said, I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy.
That's true.
Both of those cause brain changes. I just had to get that in.
I wonder if Groucho Marx smoked marijuana.
He did. He did. There's a lot of evidence.
And watching Congress will cause you to have a brain change.
Yeah, that's right. That would definitely be negative.
Yes.
No, but that's the thing is they make these studies. This is the problem with the media, is they just accept. Well, like this domestic violence study I was talking about. Have you seen it anywhere? Was it on the front page of the Oregonian? No. Was it on the broadcast media? If the study had been the opposite, if the study had shown that marijuana causes an increase in domestic violence, you would have seen it everywhere. Front page of the newspapers, lead-in stories, broadcast media. But because it shows something good about marijuana, well, maybe that's just because, just another good thing about marijuana. There's nothing news about that worthy. It's when we find something bad about marijuana, that's newsworthy.
But I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right, I saw it on Facebook. Doesn't that count?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, because everybody doesn't get marijuana Facebook. Maybe there's a way that everybody, they get junk marijuana news in their Facebook.
For a certain amount of money, that can be done. I guarantee you that they will allow that.
Let's
give Facebook.
But you're right.
Let's call George Soros.
All the positive studies are
not only he's going to help.
Not only are they not broadcasted, you have to really dig to look to find them.
What? Client?
Put measure 91 on the
Oh, I see.
Oh, he client put 91.
You don't listen to me, but you want
I
me to
don't know.
listen
I heard
to
you both talking. You were
I was
No,
interrupting.
I was
I'm
just
sorry.
saying that even though not only are these studies not broadcasted, they're even hard to find. I mean, Jack Hare had to like, dig into the annals of history.
The annals,
oh,
not
well,
the anals.
Okay. And find his information, right?
Yes, he did. But the information is out there now.
Has this fixation.
It's a The information is out there. It is the choice of the media and how it gets reported. And once again, the brain change study came out, which showed absolutely nothing. It meant nothing. Nothing, 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 nothing. And they made the biggest deal out of it. It was everywhere.
That's right.
And a study comes out that shows domestic violence is less if you smoke marijuana than if you don't smoke marijuana, and it gets absolutely no traction anywhere.
You know, we are accepting your phone calls, taking your phone calls. If you've got a question or comment about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical marijuana patients, you can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. Back last January, or maybe it was February, we had a Super Bowl. And there was this ad that was going to run on the Super Bowl, but they canceled it for just a few weeks before the Super Bowl.
Controversial.
So let's look at this 36-second, very controversial ad right now.
Here in Colorado, we're known for being rugged outdoorsmen, always reaching for that next summit, never satisfied with just good enough. But not anymore. Now that Colorado's made marijuana legal, we're spending our time cultivating the tastiest, most THC-intensive buds. And rewatching Inception. It's dedication you can taste. Dedication and Funyuns. So next time you're at the dispensary, reach for the real Rocky Mountain High, pure Colorado Kush. What's in your bong?
That's a joke.
No, they wanted to run that
Did
on the Super Bowl.
Somebody had
But
$2 million.
I think they did, and they wouldn't run it.
Well, I'm so shocked I have to go and sit down and smoke a joint now that I've
in
seen that
Colorado.
just to get over it.
But you know, I can understand the way they might do it. You know, I had one by the name of, what was her first name? Fox was her last name. I think it's Diane Fox. She opened the first legal recreational marijuana store in Colorado. And I had her on my radio show, and I was asking her, I said, what's the, they allow tourists to buy it there. And I said, what's the, how much marijuana do you sell to tourists? And she says, well, my store is kind of on the way from the airport to downtown Colorado. And so I would say about 60% of my sales are to tourists.
I hear it's
She
about 50%.
she said just last week, a bus pulled up in front of her shop, and 50 Japanese tourists got out and went into the shop, and they all bought some marijuana. Can you imagine them going back to Japan saying they bought marijuana? We buy marijuana in Colorado.
Nice.
In Korea, if you smoke marijuana in the United States and you go back to Korea, they can test your hair or your bodily fluid and arrest you based on testing positive for marijuana. The same is true in China.
We have driven countries absolutely insane with this marijuana war. And I wonder how these countries, are they going to, if we wind up legalizing marijuana in our state here, or in the country here, are these countries going to change their marijuana?
Of
course they will.
Not all of them.
Of course they will.
I mean, they already wanted to change, and in Spain it's legal, and Portugal and Belgium it's legal to have
And
marijuana.
for everybody watching outside of the borders of America, you've just got to know, we rule.
That's what we think, but we should be ashamed. I'm telling you,
we should be paying reparations to other countries for the problems that we have caused them because of marijuana prohibition and our war on drugs.
And not
we
to
have,
mention
I mean, it's in that horror.
the drones
we have
bombing the innocent children, and we arm the world. We arm the children. We arm the ones who control the resources, so they can go on killing.
Well, that could be a song. We arm the world. We arm the children.
I was thinking of that when I said that. You picked that up. Very, very perceptive.
Thank you.
So we have a caller standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, well, first I just wanted to say thanks for all your good works that you do, and my question is this: that what is the number of the ballot initiative, and when is it going to be voted on? And you know that that No Knock Raid song, that talk about a buzzkill, huh? I mean, that's what we're up against.
Yeah, it is Measure 91 here in Oregon. You want to vote yes on Measure 91. And when you do, it'll be legal for you to grow 4 plants of your own cannabis and have marijuana legally in your house, and it'll license businesses with a reasonable tax. I think marijuana will be just a fraction of the cost here in Oregon that it is in Washington or Colorado. We'll create a new industry, and it also makes a few changes to increase the production of industrial hemp. So it's a bold leap ahead of Washington and Colorado that will put Oregon on the cutting edge of some exciting new economic and ecological developments.
Now, since you didn't know that, I would bet that a lot of your friends don't know about that either. So now that you have this information from Paul, you need to go out and educate your friends and your family members and the people you work with.
Make sure they go and vote. That's the thing. We've got to get our voters out and make sure they're registered and they get that in the mail and they mail it back in and vote yes.
I know. I voted for it the last few times myself, but that's why I wanted to call in to let people know it's coming up. Measure 91. Just say yes.
Agreed. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Bye.
If you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call that number on your screen. It's 288-4442.
And another thing, since this person called in, and I would suggest that everybody who's watching this show go to some talk radio stations and call in to these talk radio stations and talk television stations, whatever, and bring the subject up and say that you believe people should vote yes on Proposition 91, and they give 3 reasons. We got to get it out
Phone bank your own friends and tell them to be sure to register to vote. They have to register at least 20 calendar days before the election, so they need to be registered by the first week in October. And we have another phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Thank you so much. And thinking about the initiative, about 91, I wanted to hear you guys take, on this whole thing with the liquor board, supervising, controlling.
Yeah.
I have such an enormous problem with that. I
understand.
The reservations just go on, and I would just love to hear you.
Well,
especially
I favored a different system that would have kept cannabis under a new agency, but this is what we have right now. The one thing we can say is that the Liquor Control Board has a history of selling a product to those over the age of 21. They already have an infrastructure in place, but a lot of people don't like the Liquor Control Commission. I can understand why, but it's the law we have. So I would say let's not sacrifice the good for the perfect. Let's go ahead and get these changes we can make right now and then work for future changes to make this system better. I think that we need to be able to cultivate industrial hemp without regard to its THC content, but with a focus on the most productive varieties for fuel, fiber, food. I advocated that that be included in this bill. They didn't do that. I also advocated that we put it under a separate commission, not the Liquor Control Commission, because we found in our polling that a significant number of people felt as you do, that they want to see the liquor sales separated from the cannabis sales. But that's the way that the Drug Policy Alliance and the people George Soros funded wanted to do it, and so that's what we have.
Well, I really appreciate you, talking about it. I certainly would have much preferred what you were supporting. And
well, we voted on a system like that, but we only got 47% of the vote. I think if we had that initiative to vote on this time, it would definitely pass. But that initiative could have passed with just another $200,000 in funding 2 years ago. But shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Right.
And they keep popping that picture up there.
You actually discuss this and say that you think yes, we should go ahead and vote for it, because frankly, as badly as I want the legalization, I would be willing to vote no against something that seemed like it was so far afield that we couldn't get here from there. You know what
Well,
I'm
this
saying?
can definitely be changed. We can come back with something to change it down the road. It's a big step forward, and it's a lot better than what they have in Washington, and quite a bit better than what they have in Colorado now.
You know, in California, we had 2 bills that were introduced in the state legislature about regulating medical marijuana, and one of the bills would have put the control of medical marijuana under the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission. And a lot of people were upset about it. I was too at the beginning, thinking, oh no, that's a slap in the face almost to marijuana to have the ABC control it. But then I started thinking, in California, the ABC has done a marvelous job of getting alcohol out to the people. You can buy alcohol across the street from an elementary school to the convenience store. I mean, that's how good a job they did.
Cool.
And if they did half as good a job with marijuana as they did with alcohol, then nobody would ever have any problem getting marijuana.
The other thing I think is that people who use alcohol will benefit from having marijuana there, because the less alcohol they use and the more marijuana they use, the less problems there'll be with alcohol. We won't have as many accidents. They've shown that in Colorado already. We won't have as many debilitating diseases. So the good thing to look at is that we'll give those alcoholics an option of using cannabis. And you know, cannabis has been used for thousands of years to help people get off of alcohol, tobacco, opiates, cocaine. In fact, on a number of the antique medical marijuana containers that I often show here on the show, it says that marijuana, cannabis, was used to help the habituates of chloroform, cocaine, alcohol.
I know. Before the interference of business, doctors and medical providers and healers of all types were able to make use of the plant, and we know how many thousands of years that goes back to the beginning of what you might call of cultured human beings. At any rate, thank you so very much for the discussion. Greatly appreciate it, and thanks for the show, guys. Night.
You're welcome.
One thing I might want to point out also is that the alcohol companies, I imagine, will be funding some of the opposition to Proposition 91. In California, when we had Proposition 19 on the ballot, the single largest contribution made to the No on 19 campaign was made by the California Beer and Wine Dealers Association. They are terrified, literally terrified, that the drop in their sales of their alcoholic products they're going to have if marijuana becomes easily and widely and affordably available. They are absolutely terrified.
We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller.
Yes. Hi, this is Old Man Earl.
Hey, Earl.
And I belong to a area back in the Detroit suburbs for 15 years. We belonged to the same bar. We smoked outside the bar. Somebody'd come in and they'd claim they're mad at the boss. Hey, I got some good stuff. And 20 minutes later, he forgot what he was even talking about. And we did this for 15 years, and I was there 4 nights a week, darts on Tuesday night with my wife, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, we were there to dance and had a great time. And they had one fight in the bar in 15 years.
That's not too bad.
And they probably sold a lot less beer, too, because of that.
Well, we actually loved the bar. I mean, we had a golf league that came out of it.
But more
we had a dart
food
league that came out of it, so it was a lot of fun.
Food sales went up through the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Anyways, I just want to let you know it was great, a great place to be, and we loved it.
All right. Well, thanks for
If less
sharing
people
that.
drink and more people
Have a good night.
enjoy social use of marijuana, do you think the birth rate will go down? Because how many times have you woken up the next morning with somebody you went, oh no, I can't believe I did that?
You know, there is a study that shows that the motility of sperm in people who use marijuana is slower than people who don't.
Oh, well,
What's happening is about halfway there, the marijuana-induced sperm stops and looks around a little bit and takes an enjoys it before it moves on. But you know, I would not recommend marijuana as a method of birth control.
No, it doesn't work. I can speak from experience.
No,
but I wasn't trying to use it for that.
No, actually, I mean, here's the thing. You know, we're on the subject. Sex and marijuana is really that's one of the major uses of it. If you have not used marijuana when having sex, you are missing one of the most exquisite experiences of life. So go out and get some marijuana and do it, and you'll have a great time.
Okay.
Medical recommendation.
That's right.
So-
I'm an RN, and I recommend that you go out and have sex with marijuana.
Okay. I think
But if you don't know
in
the
our
person you're with, use a condom.
750 shows, I think that might be the first time we've directly made that time. But maybe I'm probably wrong. I might have short-term memory loss here. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, G, we've got
Short-term
about
memory loss.
something like
Oh,
that.
come on. That
I
is
Long
such
term.
cheap
It's long
humor.
I have a
Cheap.
question. I have a question. Has anything new come up in regards to the nation's second largest hemp fest at Portland, Oregon?
Yeah, we've got Lucas Nelson on, and Promise of the Real will be playing. Lucas will be straight over from a benefit to stop the Keystone Pipeline in Nebraska. He's going to do the Keystone Pipeline in Nebraska with Neil Young and his father, Willie Nelson.
Cool.
And then he'll fly directly here and perform on Sunday, September 28th.
Nice.
But we also have John Trudell and Bad Dog. They'll be back. We will have the Herbivores. I'm very happy to say the
they rock.
Herbivores, who really rock. And we'll have Los Marijuanos. We'll have Bad Habit. We have a lot of great bands. So just go to hempstock.org. That's hempstock.org and find out more.
And are you having any speakers?
Lots of speakers. You'll be speaking. Chris Bennett from Canada will be talking
Cool.
about, he's written a number of books about the use of cannabis going back 35,000 years and in religion and lots of other things. But we have a number of callers here. Let's see
Well,
how
and
many
will there be
we can
vendors
squeeze
out
in.
there too?
Lots of vendors and lots of food. And so check it out at hempstock, HEMPSTALK.org. And so we'll take another caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. No caller there?
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Casper. Thank you for taking my call. I have a question. I was talking to some people who oppose Measure 91, and they're concerned about cannabis oils being excluded and maybe that carrying over to patients not being able to use hemp oil or
Well, that's
rinsing
not
oil.
actually true.
I want to know your thoughts.
So to be able to produce cannabis extracts under this law, you'll have to get a license and it will be regulated. And so that means, and the license is only $1,250. And so there will be on medical use, there won't be a tax on medical marijuana, but there will be a tax on adult use of marijuana. So depending on the extract, that'll be for shake and for bud trim, it will be $10 an ounce. So if it takes, say, 5 ounces to make 1 ounce of extract, then of that shake, then there'd be a $50 tax on that. On the other hand, there's a $35 tax on flowers. So if it takes 5 ounces of flowers to make 1 ounce of extract, then there would be a what would it be? 175, 187.50, something like that. Anyway, a tax of less than $200 on it. But that is how the law is structured. So it will allow producing concentrates. It'll just require that it be licensed. And medical cannabis won't be affected by that. The law says explicitly that the Oregon Medical Marijuana Act remains in place. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great news. Thank you so much.
And
All
you know,
right,
I think
thank
it's
you.
also important to point out, even in Washington, you know, which that bill needs a lot of work. The fact is they've gone over the most difficult hump. It's now legal. And if the marijuana people could just develop a little political clout there, they can get the legislator to make the kind of changes. But
Right.
that's the problem.
You know, it comes
they're
down
not doing
to how
enough
many
political clout.
contributions you make to those guys and their election and re-election. You know,
Well-
that's the way the game is played in our country anyway. And so when there's enough economic power behind the people who contribute to these guys, then they will start to represent the people who give them some
Can
money.
I give a plug to the Brownie Mary
I
Club?
think you should give another plug to the Brownie Mary Club.
I was talking about earlier, the Brownie Mary Club is part of the Democratic Party in California. We are the first marijuana interest group ever to be affiliated officially with a political party. We now have 5 central committees that have a Brownie Mary Club in them. There's ones in Riverside County, Los Angeles County, San Bernardino County, San Francisco County, and Sacramento County. And we'd like to see some of these clubs start in other states, just like in the state of Oregon that has central committees as well. So you can start a Brownie Mary Club here in Portland, in Multnomah County, in Clackamas County, in Gladstone.
Or it could have another name, you know,
Or you
because
could have
Brownie
another
Mary
name,
is from
but
California.
but we have
it could
the-
be somebody from Oregon, or you could just call it the, you know, the Cannabis Club, maybe. Or
Except what I'm trying to get at here.
How about the I Love the DEA Cannabis Club?
Yeah. What I'm trying to get at here.
Okay.
What I'm trying to get at here is this is modeled after the gay community.
Right.
And their Stonewall clubs, which are nationwide.
Sure.
And I don't know who is lower on the social ladder of social respectability. People who have sex with members of the same sex are people who smoke pot. But they're both pretty low on the ladders of level of respectability. But the gay community has done a marvelous job through the Democratic Party of getting their concerns elevated and considered, to the point where the President of the United States says, yes, I was wrong 4 years ago, I now support gay marriage. We need to have the President say something like that. And the way that they have done it is because they have raised millions of dollars for Democratic candidates. They have put in countless thousands of hours of volunteer time. They have worked within the Democratic Party, and that's what we can do too. The Democratic Party is very supportive of marijuana.
And if you want to work in another party, that's good too. But obviously, you know, Democrats are generally a little more receptive, except for the governor.
And the thing is, once you start working in the party and you start having some influence from the party, you can go to elected officials and say, listen, we need to make this law passed by the voters more effective.
Amen.
And we can get them to support it. But if, you know, we go to our elected officials all the time, we say we want this, we want that, we want this, and the fact is, what have we ever done for them? Have we contributed money to their re-election campaigns? Have we got out people pounding the pavement and putting door? No, we haven't done anything. And that's the way the game works here. That's how the gay community's built them up. That's how the religious right took over the Republican Party. They took it over at the beginning at the local central committees, and they built the party, they built themselves up over a 10 to 12 year period to actually take control of the Republican Party. And we have to do the same thing. So you can form a Brownie Mary Club here. Go to our website, browniemaryclub.org. There's all kinds of information how to do one, and then my phone number, my contact information is there. Just give me a call, send me an email, and I will help you form a Brownie Mary Democratic Club in Multnomah County, in Clackamas County, wherever you are here in the state of Oregon. We can get you forming one here. We want to see Brownie Mary Democratic Clubs throughout the country, and I couldn't think of a better name to use than Brownie Mary.
Okay. Let's take this last phone call. We're down to less than 5 minutes left. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. No, the caller's gone. That's okay.
Let me call in.
No, you're on.
Knock, knock.
Who's there? So you are doing a radio network.
Oh,
Yes.
my golly. And we are around the clock now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop. Just hit the play button, and you can enjoy the music, and you can enjoy the new content that's being put out by the over 40 hosts, I think is what it is now, on the network. Muck Sticky's come on board. We got Joe Grumbines on board now. We're doing it in Japanese, and we're doing it in French, and we're doing it in Spanish on the network. And so we're getting the message out all around the world nonstop. And you can find us on your iHeart app. You can find us on Tumblr, SoundCloud, and, of course, timeforhemp.com. Thank you for the shameless plug. And this gentleman's on my network. This gentleman's on my network. And half the people that spoke at the Seattle Hemp Fest are broadcasting on the Time for Hemp Global Network. So please, like a good joint, share us with your friends.
And if you want to listen to the radio show I do on the internet, go to blogtalkradio.com/marijuana news. And when you go there, you'll bring up all the past shows. You can click on them, and you can listen to any of the shows.
And you have a marijuananews.com site too.
Oh, we have a
don't you?
website, marijuananews.org.
Marijuananews.org. All right, and of course, we have a website, hemp.org. That's a portal to all of our sites, HEMP.org and CRRH.org. That's the name of our political committee. So we have a whole alphabet soup of various websites to look at. You know, we're going to go out with another great tune from Mr. John Cornette in just a moment. But I want to remind you that if you are a loved one or someone you know needs help with medical marijuana, we're just helping hundreds of thousands of patients all across the nation get their medical marijuana card. So you can call us at 503-281-5100. There, that number there. If you're local, it's 503-281-5100. If you're anywhere else in the United States, you can call toll free at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. And we have doctors from sea to shining sea, from Maine to Hawaii, and soon to come to Florida as well. So give us a call at that number there on your screen. We are going to go out again on the great song by John Cornette. I want to thank you for coming on the show, Lanny. It's good to see you again. It's good to see you, Casper. We're going to have a few weeks where we are going to have tape shows, so we will not have live shows. I've been invited to come speak at the expogrow.net in Spain, so I'm going to go over there. We will be back with a live show the day before our Hipstock Festival on September 26th. That'll be our next live show, but we will have tape shows you can watch in the interim. Some brand new tape material from the Seattle Hemp Fest and other recent events. So catch us again live toward the end of the month, and come to our Portland Hempstock Festival and help us restore hemp. Good night.
I'd like to dedicate this song to Brownie Berry. Would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? Would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? It must be strong to carry on, 'cause I know I must be here in heaven. Would you hold my hand if I saw you in heaven?